in your computer there are some hackers. They are trying to stop all the services, ma'am. You can see on your scanner, ma'am.
Where is it?
Ma'am, these all are your computer services, and on the right hand side below the status you can see that it's showing you stop running, stop running, stop running, stop running, stop running, stop running, stop running.
I can turn it off for them if they want.
Stop running, stop running, stop running, stop.
Oh, yeah.
Stop running, stop running, stop.
Why are they trying to turn my computer off?
Stop running, stop running, stop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, do we have to read all of them?
So you can see that your ma'am in your computer there is no any kind of security. Okay, in your computer there is no any protection. That's why some hackers found in your computer. Today or tomorrow all the services stop and your computer would be crashed, ma'am.
Why would they do that? Then they can't use it anymore. Why are they trying to turn my computer off?
Stop running, stop running, stop running.
I can turn it off for them if they want.
Stop running, stop running, stop running, stop stop.
Oh, yeah.
Stop running, stop running, stop.
Why are they trying to turn my computer off?
Stop
Yo. What's going on, y'all? How we doing? How we feeling? Good to see you, and welcome to this super kind of late night Thursday edition of Fantasy House Live. Just a skosh. So yeah, we are here. Technically, we were early last week, and now we're not really late, but we really haven't been sticking to the Wednesday schedule that we used to have. But that's fine. Anywho, I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe, having some fun, and thanks for stopping on by. So as per usual, like we do with these episodes, we're gonna kind of dive into the action from week 14, which was the last week of the regular season. Then we're gonna take a look at the final power rankings. Then take a look at how the matchups are shaping up for week 1 or I should say round 1 of the playoffs, and then I'm going to take the picks at the remaining games. I know there was a Chargers and Raiders game that happened today. It was more like a Chargers just thrashing, or it was like 63 to 20 something. And most of that was before halftime, which is ridiculous. But anywho, without too much further ado, let's get into the action. Oh, it's apparently our what do they want to call it? Affiliate anniversary. So I guess today or yesterday is when I started streaming more or got affiliate. So, woo. Anywho, let's do it. Let's take a look at these reviews. Boom. All right. So week 14. It was like I said, it was the last week of the regular season. Not gonna lie, there was some upsets. Starting off right at the top, the Young Guns pulled off probably one of the most improbable upsets up against the 4th overall ranked All Hail the Sun God. Young Guns getting a win by a score of 130 to 105. Then if we look Team Dicka in Team 2, if we look at Game 2, Team Dicka and Bob's Burgers went head-to-head with Team Dicka getting the win and also scoring 130, but this time to 130, a score line of 130 to 83. Then in our third matchup, we had Better on Paper and CD's Nuts, in which CD's Nuts got the win by a score of 129 to 119. Then in our closest matchup of the week, it saw the Addams family pulling off the win against, so that's our number 2 overall top dog, getting the win against our number 3 overall top dog by a score of 102 to 101. So just literally a 1-point difference separating those two. Then in our 5th matchup here, we had Kelsey Me Softly, the reigning champ, the won't be champ, not able to defend his crown this time around, but Kelsey Me Softly taking the L this week against Peanut Oil by a score of 141 to 103. And then lastly, we have the Desert Swarm continuing their winning ways, picking up the win 130 to 103 over the Pool of Dumpster Water. Fitting team name. Alright. Now, just like we always do, we're going to kind of dive a little bit more into a little closer look at how these broke down. Whoops, that's the wrong button. Do that. Whoop, that's not the right window. Nope. Am I not choosing the right one? Why doesn't it see this? No. No. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So the first matchup we're going to take a look up here is All Hail the Sun God and the Young Guns. In which case, the Young Guns pulled off that upset. What's good, Grimsy? Good to see you, dude. Much love as always. How's it going, family? We're just doing a quick little stream. You already know. Just hopping online, doing some good old Fantasy House Live. Doing good. Hey, it's what I like to hear, bro. Hey, I saw you were streaming the other day. Popped in and I was lurking. Good shit, dude. Alright, let's drop this down. Cool. Move this over. Alrighty. Well, let's get it. Do. Quick little drink of the G Fuel. Alright. Starting off at the top with our QBs. We'll start off with All Hail the Sun God, in which case they had Mr. Jordan Love only getting 11 points. I say only, but it was definitely a letdown. He had been scoring over 20 points the last few weeks. This week, falling short to the Giants. It was just a fucking shit show. I hate to say it, just did not look good. Which I don't know how that's going to look for the rest of the season, because the rest of the season was supposed to be a cakewalk after beating Detroit and then KC, but now that we've lost to the passing Paisano, our whole season's kind of up. I know this week we have Tampa, which is should be a little bit easier, but I don't know, man. Who's really to say at this point? Anyways, Jordan Love only able to get 11 points this week in that loss to the Giants, while Patrick Mahomes taking another L this week. This week against Buffalo, able to get 16 points this week. If we move into the first set of running backs, we have Austin Eckler, the muscle hamster, finally kind of looking more like himself this week. Got 21 points in that, even though they lost to Denver. While for the Young Guns, they had Kyron Williams, who actually has been a pretty stellar season, getting 14 points, even though losing to Baltimore, which has been very good, especially defensively this year. Then if we move into the second set of running backs, we'll stay with the Young Guns here, who had Zach Moss, only able to get 9 points this week in a loss to Cincy, while Clyde Edwards-Helaire only able to get 8 points this week, as he kind of split carries with Jerick McKinnon because Isaiah Pacheco was out. And I think actually McKinnon had, a rushing touchdown and just an overall better day. So Edwards-Helaire, unfortunately, sitting there with kind of he still got modest production, but unfortunately, when you're getting this close to the playoffs, you want to start getting some double digits. But anyways, moving into the first set of wide receivers, we'll stay with All Hail the Sun God here, in which case we have the Sun God himself, Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown, only able to get 5 points this week as the Lions were upset in a surprise loss to the Bears, which the Bears are just surging at quite literally the right time. And the NFC is such a crap show right now that the Bears actually have a shot at getting into the playoffs. I don't think anyone saw that one coming, but here we are. That's football for you. If we look over at the Young Guns, who had T. Higgins able to get 9 points this week, as the Bengals got the win over Indy. Then if we move into the wide receiver twos, we have DK Metcalf. Actually had a very stellar day for the Young Guns, getting 13 points in even though losing to the Niners. While for All Hail the Sun God once again, we have Keenan Allen, who put up a respectable 12 points in a losing effort to Denver. Then if we skip right on into the tight ends, we have TJ Hawkinson able to get 10 points this week. I can probably turn this music up just a hair. There. That should be better. I was like, wow, I can barely hear that. Happy affiliate anniversary. Thank you, Janae. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. I was just talking about that earlier when right when I logged into my account. I didn't even realize it was, but I think technically it was the 14th, or is it the 15th? I don't know. Either way, but thank you. You're wonderful. Hope you're doing well, staying safe, and having some fun. And enjoying your evening. Welcome on into the good old Fancy House Live. Today is the 14th. Not for me. It's after midnight, so it's the 15th. Maybe for you. Oh, goodness. You gotta catch up. You gotta catch up the rest of us. You future living people. I know, right? Oh, how you been, Janae? Good to see you. It's been a week. It's like fantasy football playoffs are here, and as we will see once we get to the good, gotta start packing soon. Are you coming to the city? Yeah, Otani. Yeah, didn't you guys just get Glasgow too? So Dodgers are bulking up. Imagine you guys don't win. Oh, coming in Christmas Eve. Oh, yay! Nice. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Good for you. Good, 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 good. Ooh. All right. Ooh, that was a good backpack. Dodgers are going to be no joke. I'll be there December 24th till January 2nd. Oh shit, hell yeah. I'm literally off that whole time too. That's like my entire break pretty much. Crazy. But, man, and the Brewers are just pretty much self-destructing. Only person that's still there is Yelich, otherwise Tellez is gone. We lost some relievers. I know we traded for someone, but after last year, it's brutal. And then Council going to the fucking Cubbies. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Just join the dark side? Hell no. I don't. I'm just gonna watch baseball casually. I ain't gonna. Nope. No more cheering for teams. I was like, Brewers. It was good knowing you, but our owner is a fucking idiot. He ain't gonna do what's right. He ain't gonna spend money. He sucks. It's a nice stadium that he barely wanted to pay for. It's a beautiful stadium, and he barely wants to pay to get it repaired. It's like, what a dickhead. Anywho, where were we? I think we were moving into some tight ends. Yeah, we had TJ Hawkinson. You're like, and continue. TJ Hawkinson, able to get 10 points this week. I think this was, is this one of the first weeks he had Nick Mullins under center? It's surprising that he's able to do this well. There's been a lot of kind of new backup quarterbacks stepping in and kind of well, I wouldn't say shocking, but it's TJ Hawkinson. I think he's rated the second overall tight end in the league. So he's been pretty much on fire. You know, obviously there's always that saying that the rookie QB's kind of like best friend is checkdowns to the running back and, you know, his tight end. So this kind of does bode well for Hawkinson. So we'll see. But he was able to get 10 points this week in a very stupidly low effort game. That was 3-0. Whereas then, after getting shut out last week, the Raiders then exploded this week, as we will see when we get into the preview. For anyone that didn't watch the game, a 65, was it 65 something, 63-23. Yeah, that game was over. Both those games, the Thursday night game that happened tonight and the that 3-0 Vikings Raiders game last week, also boring as hell. But hey, as the only person who really benefited with 10 points, I'll take it. I can't really complain. But anyways, I digress. If we look on over, of course, it is the week that I'm going against Kyle Pitts. He decides to be a monster, and the Falcons remember that the dude actually exists on their offense. Able to get 14 points this week in a even though they lost to Tampa, Kyle Pitts still showing up big time. Then if we move into the flex spot, Rashee Rice showed up big time, getting 18 points despite losing to Buffalo. While for the Young Guns, James Cook continuing a stellar season, able to drop 25 points in a win over Kansas City. Then if we move into the tight ends again, what the hell? If we move into the defenses, we have the Saints for the Young Guns getting 18 points over a fucking ass whooping over Carolina, while the Dolphins for All Hail the Sun God are able to get 9 points in a surprise loss at that, to Tennessee. Will Levis just showing he can ball out. Dude was, what was it? I think right when they took the lead at the end, I remember dude walking straight up to Vrabel, just just jacked as hell, screaming in Vrabel's face. I was like, hey man, don't deck the coach because you're so excited. It's like, dude was stoked. But we'll see. We'll see if they can keep that momentum going. And if we go to the kickers, we have Dustin Hopkins for the Brownies getting 9 points in that win over the Jags, while Jake Elliott for the Eagles getting 10 points in a loss to Dallas. A thromping by Dallas. Right now, who's to say that you're going to be pleased to hear this? Who is to say against that? Dallas isn't the best team in the league right now. Like, pretty much every one of their games have been fucking blowouts, and that defense has been steamrolling pretty much everyone. So it's like, good God, anyone that's got to go against them. And it's like the NFC is a crapshoot right now with how many 6 and 7 teams can sneak in. It's like, good luck. What, you're going to go down to Dallas just so you can get fucking thromped? Yeah, okay. That'll be fun. Anywho, so that ends the first match. Let's move it on into their second, which was Team Ditka just beating the shit out of Bob's Burgers here by a score of 130-83. So, starting off at the top with our QBs, once again, we have the surging Bears, who no one thought was actually going to be surging. I think everyone thought they were going to be pretty terrible. And here they are, turning on the Jets at the second half of the season. Justin Fields getting 26 points. Side note about the Bears, if they keep Eberflus at the end of the season, holy shit, that's so stupid. But imagine, because that's the one thing about winning. And once you start winning games, if you imagine he gets into the playoffs, oh, they're going to be stuck with that guy. But, well, hey, whatever, not my team. Anyways, Justin Fields able to get 26 points in that big upset over Detroit, while introversely for Bob's Burgers, Jared Goff, or Jared Goof as some have started to call him, only able to get 6 points in the loss to Chicago. Staying with Bob's Burgers, but going into the RB1s, we have King Henry able to actually produce something this week in a actually competitive game. That was Tennessee and Miami, able to get 18 points in that win over Miami, while Jerome Ford, who is the de facto number 1 back now in Cleveland, getting 13 points this week in a win over Jacksonville for Team Ditka. Keeping on the Team Ditka side, but moving into the RB2s, we have Devon Achane. I think it's Achane. I fuck it up every time, and they always say it, and I always fuck it up. Anyways, 12 points for my dude here, able to get in that loss to Tennessee, while DeAndre Swift only able to get 3 points this week in a loss to Dallas. Moving into the wide receiver ones, we have DeAndre Hopkins going off for 25 points in the win over Miami, while A.J. Brown able to get a pretty respectable 16 points in the loss to Dallas. Then Team Ditka once again had Deontay Johnson going off. Well, I shouldn't say going off, but he was able to get 14 points in a surprise loss to New England, while Rondale Moore didn't play. So that is a complete miss out for Bob's Burgers there. Moving straight on into the tight ends. We'll stick with the Bob's Burgers here, who had Pratt Freiermuth able to get only 6 points in that surprise loss to New England, while Sam Laporta, the rookie sensation out of Iowa. Sam Laporta, Iowa. Just kidding, that's Brian Bulaga. Anyway, I won't do that joke. Sam Laporta only able to get 4 points this week in a surprise loss to Chicago. Moving on into the flex spot, we got 2 Jets going head-to-head here. Breece Hall able to get 26 points in that thromping, 30-6 thromping of Houston. While Garrett Wilson also able to get a pretty decent 20 points in also that same win over Houston. Now, if we move into those defenses, we'll stick with Bob's Burgers here, who had the Lions only able to get 4 points in that Lion loss to Chicago, while the Jets able to get 12 points in that win over Houston. Then finally, we move into our final position, which is the kickers, starting with Team Ditka and Jake Moody, able to get 4 points in a win over Seattle, while Matt Gay got -1 point and actually had a few misses, which probably contributed to that. So just a tough outing for him that time in the Colts loss to Cincy. Oh, godly doubly. Moving on into our third matchup, which was Better on Paper taking on CD's Nuts. How convenient. Here we go. Starting at the top once again. Lamar Jackson. Well, I should say, start with their QBs and better on paper. Who had Lamar Jackson going off for 34 points this week in a win over the Rams. The battle of the couple again. It's true. It's happened quite a few times this season, but I mean, there's only like 12 teams, so it's kind of bound to happen. But, anyways, Lamar Jackson and why did I started thinking Falcons, started saying Ravens, got myself confused. Ravens continuing to soar high, getting 34 points this week in a win over the Rams, while Jalen Hurts, despite losing to Dallas, able to get a pretty respectable 10 points. Although you, in must-win games towards the end of the season, you want to get as many points as possible. I know that's obvious, but Jalen only able to get 10 points this week. If we move into the running back, Rachaad White for CD here, able to get 21 points in a win over Atlanta. Then we look at Joe Mixon for better on paper, who had 21 points in the win over Indy. And if we move into the next set of running backs, we have Gus Edwards only able to get 1 point this week in a win over the Rams, win over the Rams. While Chuba Hubbard for CD here, able to get 11 points in that loss to New Orleans. Then, if we move into the first set of wide receivers, but we'll stick with CD's nuts once again, and who had Devontae Adams, able to get a respectable 12 points, even though the Raiders put up no points into that 0-3 loss to the Vikings. Then we had Gabe Davis for better on paper, who unfortunately put up a goose egg in that win over Kansas City. Then in the next set of wide receivers, Michael Gallup, able to get 13 points this week in a win over Philly, while CD Lamb actually almost kind of matching him, almost kind of matching CD himself, who was able to get 19 points in a win over Philly for the, of course, team named CD's Nuts. Then if we move into the tight ends, Jake Ferguson continuing to show out on that Dallas team, able to get 12 points in the win over Philly, while Cole Kmet pretty much matching that, able to get 11 points in the surprise win over Detroit. Then if we move into the flex spot, we have OBJ, able to get 19 points in the win over the Rams, while Michael Pittman Jr., Pity City, able to get 19 points this week in a loss to the Bengals for CDs. Then if we go into the defenses, we'll stick on with CD's Nuts here, and the Cowboys defense, who has been a pretty much buzzsaw to almost every single team they have played, getting 10 points this week in a win over Philly. The Niners, who are also kind of in that same boat, or at least I had been saying that earlier in the season, only able to, I say only, but hell, even getting 9 points is still pretty damn good, but 9 points in the win over Seattle. Then if we go into the kickers, we have Tyler Bass able to get 8 points in the win over KC, while Justin Tucker able to get 12 points in the win over the Rams. All right, moving right along, we had Team Nuge taking the L this week against D. Adams family. All right. Starting at the top once again. So we have 4 Team Nuge. Oof. That's tough to see. Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert only gave it 2 points. This is probably when he went down for the injury. Out of curiosity, who's your backup? Sam Howell. Oof. Man, probably Nuge's best QB just went down for the season right before the playoffs started. That's unfortunate. Well, anyways, Justin Herbert able to get got 2 points this week in a loss to Denver, while for D. Adams family, who had Tua, able to get 11 points, a little bit of a lower amount of points for him this week in a surprise loss to Tennessee. Then if we stick with D. Adams family, and who had Saquon go off for 23 points in that Giants surprise win over Green Bay. Then if we flip over to Team Nuge, who had Jahmyr Gibbs, who continues to actually show out during his rookie season here, getting 17 points this week in a loss to Chicago. Then Raheem Mostert, if we once again stay with Team Nuge here, getting 23 points in the loss to Tennessee, while Javonte Williams finally having a pretty decent day, getting 18 points in the win over the Chargers for D. Adams family. Now, if we move into the wide receivers, well, the first set of wide receivers at least, we have Stephon Diggs for D. Adams family here, getting 6 points in that win over KC. Well, Jamar Chase pretty much have a similar stat line, only able to get 5 points in the win over Indianapolis for Team Nuge. Then if we move into the wide receiver twos, we have Mike Evans able to get only 1 point this week in a Tampa win over Atlanta, while Devontae Smith getting 10 points in a loss to Dallas. So obviously Devontae Smith having a little bit better of a season. He's been actually having quite a stellar year. If we move to the tight ends, we have George Kittle able to get 16 points for D. Adams family, while Evan Engram, just absolute insane day, going off for 32 points, really keeping Nuge in it. Then if we move into the flex spot, we have Puka Nacua for Nuge here. Able to get 14 points this week in a loss to Baltimore, while Nico Collins only able to get 2 points this week in a loss to the Jets. Then if we go into the defenses, we have the Steelers defense getting 4 points in a surprise loss to New England, while for Team Nuge here, the Falcons able to get 3 points in a loss to Tampa. Then finally, in the kickers, we have Cameron Dicker only able to get 1 point in that loss to Denver, while Evan McPherson able to get 10 points in a win over Indy. So that's huge. Always love to see when the kickers get into the double digits. Alright, moving into our second to last matchup. I was so mad that game. Which, the Charger game? When he broke his finger? Also good to see you, Nuge. Hey, I know how you feel, bro. I had both Eckler and Keenan Allen, so inadvertently it affects me too. Not doing too bad, brother. Not doing too bad. Great to see you, my guy. It's been a long time. Much love as always, dude. Hope you're doing well, staying safe. Appreciate you always coming around. But yeah, well, you made it to the playoffs, brother. But I think I limped my way into the playoffs, and I think I'm gonna get fucking bounced. Like, I think I'm donezo in the playoffs. We'll see in the we'll see once we get to the previews. But yeah, man, long time no see. Damn right. You excited for Tarkov Arena when it comes out? History has it for me, I lose every first round. I was killing it during the season, and then injuries kind of wrecked me. And now I do not feel confident. But we'll see. I haven't played Tarkov since last wipe. I played the first week of this wipe, and that was it. I have a full stash, but Arena's coming out, I think, this weekend, so that'll be sick. I can't wait. That'll be some fun. It'll kind of be a new way to rejuvenate it. But I just upgraded my graphics card, so I'll be ass in better graphics. Hey, you're right along with me, brother. Potatoes. Potatoes and Tarkov. Hell yeah, it'll be a vibe. I'm always down. But, anywho, back to le football. Let's see, we got, what was this? Peanut Oil taking on Kelsey Me Softly. Wow. Nice. What the? Come on. Firefox just crashed. Lol. One sec. That's hilarious. Classic. Doo-doop, ba-doop, boop, boop. See, look, it brought me all the way back to here. We're at Peanut Oil and Kelsey Me Softly. Lol. Okay. There we go. All right. Round 2, because apparently it didn't want to work. Do I need to increase the volume on this? No, it's building. Okay. Onward. So, starting off with the QBs, as always, damn, I got a stupid nose itch. Anywho, so we have Josh Allen for Peanut Oil, able to get 22 points this week in a win over KC. While for Kelsey Me Softly, they have Russ Wilson, only able to get 17 points in a win over the Chargers. We move into the running backs. We have, for Kelsey Me Softly, we have Bijan Robinson, able to get 19 points in a loss to Tampa. While Josh Jacobs for Peanut Oil, only able to get 7 points this week in a 0-3 loss to the Vikings. 1 second. Alrighty, sorry about that. Oakley dokley. So, we have the RB2s, and starting off with Peanut Oil and Alvin Kamara, who had 13 points this week in a win over Carolina, while Kenneth Walker for Kelsey Me Softly only able to get 9 points this week in a loss to San Francisco. Then we have in the first set of wide receivers, we'll stick with Kelsey Me Softly here, who had Kelvin Ridley able to get 9 points this week in a loss to Cleveland, while on the other side here for Peanut Oil, who had Deebo Samuel going off for 34 points this week. Just insane for him. You love to see it. I have him in another league, but anyways, and that was Deebo getting 34 points in that win over Seattle. If we stay with Peanut Oil and go into the second set of wide receivers here, we have Cooper Kupp going off for 25 points this week in a loss to Baltimore, while Brandon Ayuk continues to have a very productive season, getting 16 points in a win over San Francisco. Then if we go into the tight ends, the aforementioned Kelsey Me Softly and Travis Kelce only able to get 14 points this week, a little bit on the lower side of the production, in a loss to Buffalo. Then on the other side for Peanut Oil, Isaiah Likely coming forward with the injury to Mark Andrews, getting 19 points in a win over the Rams. Then if we go into the defenses, we have staying, of course, with the Peanut Oil, who had the Browns able to get 14 points this week in a win over the Jags, while the Packers, for Kelsey Me Softly, only able to get 3 points in a loss to the fucking Giants. So sad. Then if we go into the kickers, we have Riley Patterson, only able to get 1 point this week in a loss to the Chargers, while Younghoe Koo able to get 3 points in the loss to the Bucks. And I think Younghoe had actually a few misses that game too, so that contributes to that. Alright, and then in our last game, we saw the Desert Swarm taking down the Pool of Dumpster Water pretty easily. Starting off as per usual, we have the Desert Swarm and Brock Purdy, who I don't think anyone was expecting him to be in the MVP conversation, but he is, and it's kind of insane. Anywho, Brock Purdy able to get 25 points this week in a win over the Chargers, not the Chargers, the Seahawks. While for the Pool of Dumpster Water, Derek Carr only able to get 11 points in a win over Carolina. If we stick with Pool of Dumpster Water, Christian McCaffrey able to get 16 points this week in a win over Seattle, while Tony Pollard for the Desert Swarm able to get also 16 points in a win over Philly. Staying with the Swarm, we have Travis Etienne getting 17 points in a loss to Cleveland, while Alexander Madison for the Pool of Dumpster Water only able to get 6 points in the very narrow win over the Raiders. Staying with Pool Dumpster Water and Chris Olave, who got 12 points in the win over Carolina, while Tyreek Hill, someone else that is also in the MVP conversation, only able to get 10 points. I only say only, but that's just because the man pretty much scores 30 points on the reg, which is absolutely insane. But Tyreek only able to get 10 points in a loss to Tennessee. Then staying with Desert Swarm once again, Cortland Sutton, who's continuing to have a resurgent kind of second half of the season, along with a lot of the Broncos, able to get 15 points in the win over the Chargers, while Zay Jones for Pool Dumpster Water only able to get 7 points in a loss to Cleveland. Then moving into the tight ends, we have Tyler Conklin able to get 9 points in the win over Houston, while Dallas Goedert able to get 7 points in the loss to Dallas. Then if we go into the flex spot, we'll stay with the Swarm once again in David Montgomery, who got 11 points in the win over Chicago, the loss to Chicago. While for the Pool of Dumpster Water, Tyler Lockett, 14 points in the loss to San Francisco. Moving right along into the defenses, but staying with Pool of Dumpster Water, who had the Vikings able to get 17 points in that narrow win over the Raiders, while the Jags for the Desert Swarm only able to get 5 points this week in a loss to Cleveland. Then finally, in our final position, we have the kickers. Brandon Aubrey continuing to have a sensational career or season as well. I think he technically will be, but able to get 23 points this week in a win over Philly, while Will Lutz able to get 6 points in the win over the Chargers. All right, cool. So that wraps up our review section. Now let's switch gears a little bit into our final power rankings of the season. So, well, I shouldn't say final power rankings, but this is like, well, I guess it would be the final power rankings of the season, because this would be how the regular season finishes out. Then next up is all playoffs, and that'll be our final standings at the end of that. So this is the final power rankings for our season here. So there was literally no movement except for in the dumpster fires, in which case Better on Paper and Young Guns switched place despite having the same record. So our first, second, and third overall top dogs don't actually change at all. So Desert Swarm remains at number 1 with a record of 12-2. D. Adams Family remains at number 2 with a record of 11-3. And then Team Nuge remains at number 3 with a record of 10-4. Then coming in at number 4 is All Hail the Sun God at 9-5. Then at 5 is Team Dicka at 8-6. Then at 6 is Peanut Oil, who also has a record of 8-6. Then at 7 is CD's Nuts, who has a record of 7-7. Then at 8, it's the reigning and defending champion, who is unfortunately probably not going to be champion. At least not a repeat champion. Kelsey Me Softly with a record of 5-9. Then in 9th is Pool of Dumpster Water, who climbed out of the dumpster fires, sitting at a record of 4-10. Then in 10th is Bob's Burgers, who also has a record of 4-10. Then in 11th is the Young Guns, who have a record of 3-11. And finally, Better on Paper, sitting in dead last, also with a record of 3-10. All right, so that finishes our power rankings. Now we'll move into our preview, which is a little bit different because since we're in the playoffs, I had to kind of switch things around. Okay. So, here we go. This is what the playoffs round 1 are looking like. Let me go back. I'm adjusting the screen here, because we need to look at the scoreboard, but this one. Yes. All right. One sec. I'm waiting for this to load. Oh boy. Okay. So, here we go. This is what our playoffs are kind of looking like. So the matchups this week, starting off with our first matchup, it is All Hail the Sun God sitting at 9-5, taking on the soaring Team Ditka sitting at 9 or 10 and or not 10 at 8-6. All Hail the Sun God, unfortunately, on a 2-game losing streak coming into the matchup here. Then in our what I'm calling our game of the week, it shows the number 3 overall top dog Team Nuge taking on Peanut Oil. Team Nuge, like I said, even though they're trying to bounce back from a loss last week at 10-4. Peanut Oil trying to make a statement and continue on in these playoffs, sitting at 8-6. Then if we move into this is more of our kind of like consolation bracket stuff here. We have CD's Nuts sitting at 7-7, taking on Kelsey Me Softly at 5-9. Then in our next matchup, we have Bob's Burgers at 4-10, taking on Pool of Dumpster Water, also at 4-10. Then in our second to last matchup, well, this week it would be actually our last matchup. It is Better on Paper, sitting at 3-11, taking on the Young Guns, also sitting at 3-11. And then to just kind of reiterate here that both D. Adams Family and the Desert Swarm have earned first round buys this week, so they do not have to play, so good for them. But alright, let's kind of dive quickly into these matchups. And the first one we'll start with, so some of these are going to have some numbers already kind of going for them, because obviously there was a game that was played tonight and it was a fucking shit show. Anyways, well, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, we'll see shortly. Alright. Okay, so here we go. We have Justin Fields starting off at the top here with our QBs. We have Justin Fields in Chicago taking on Cleveland versus Jordan Love in Green Bay taking on Tampa. I said this earlier. It is Jordan. Like, as much as I would really love to be able to say, "Oh yeah, this is going to be Jordan," but he had come into that matchup against the Giants, having multiple 20-point games, and then they sucked. And that's happened quite a few times where Jordan's gone into these seemingly should be winnable games, and all of a sudden it's just like 3 picks and fumbles and just all of these miscues, consistent underthrowing. And then you got other games where he's like just dropping dimes. So it's insane, the inconsistency at the moment. I know he's young, but sigh. Which is why it's hard to make this. Which is why it's kind of like harder to be like, oh yeah, this is a for sure win over Tampa, because it's I don't even think it is. If we look over at Justin Fields here, though, they are taking on Cleveland, which is a very tough defense, but out of nowhere, the Bears are like cruising. They're actually making plays. They're looking good on defense. So if I had to guess who's going to do, just purely on the matchup, even though I just talked up Fields, I'm still going to take Love, just purely based on matchup, though. Cleveland is more solid on defense, but Fields has got way better movement in the legs, so it's going to be close. Then if we move into our first set of running backs, as you can see, Austin Eckler already played and only got 7 points because the Chargers played like a Pop Warner team. They got 42 points dropped on him before halftime. Actually happened. He only had 9 total yards. This one is looking like an L already. We got a majority of players. We have the rest of our team yet to play, but with the amount of injuries already on the bench, we're going to need a prayer. So Devon Achane and Miami, he takes on the Jets. Jets are going to be a tough defense, but Achane, he's actually a good running back. We'll also see if he can't go, we might luck out. But anyways, moving to the second set of running backs here, we have Breece Hall and the Jets taking on Miami. Breece Hall is going to have a good day. If he's healthy, of course. Keaton Mitchell, he's been kind of splitting carries with Gus Edwards a little bit. He's been pretty productive as of late. Jacksonville, they're actually pretty decent this year. I think I still would have to go with Breece Hall here, so got me worried on that one for sure. If we go into the wide receivers, we have A.J. Brown in Philly taking on Seattle versus Amon-Ra in Detroit taking on Denver. Man, it's kind of hard to trust Detroit right now. Like, you would think that they were kind of, the way they looked at the beginning of the season was absolutely insane. Just cruising past everyone. They were clicking on offense, defense, special teams. And I don't know what's happened, but oh man, Jared Goff has not looked that great. Which has pretty much kind of sunk the team a little bit. Not like 100% sunk, like they're not out of the playoffs, but it does leave a lot of questions, especially going against a Denver team that actually has been on the rise. If we look on the opposite side here, A.J. Brown, he's been absolutely incredible all season. He's on a very good team. It seems to be mollywopping, literally fucking everyone. And I don't think it's going to be any different when Philly takes on Seattle. I think Seattle's probably going to be taking the L. Which is probably why I'm just going to go with A.J. Brown as going to have a better day. It's just, Goff is too unreliable right now. Obviously, Amon-Ra is a very focal point of that offense, so he's going to be getting points and he's going to be getting targets for sure, but the unreliable in these last few weeks as they've taken these kind of mysterious L's, it's been kind of makes me a little bit worried. But A.J. Brown, he is the more easily has the easiest like attainable, was it like, I don't want to say ceiling or floor, yes. But anyhow, we move to the next set of wide receivers here. We have Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh taking on Indy versus Zay Flowers in Baltimore taking on Jacksonville. Deontay Johnson actually has been looking pretty good as of late with QB Mitchell Trubisky back in. I think Johnson was the one that scored. Zay Flowers has kind of been that gadget player there in Baltimore taking on Jacksonville. So on this one, I think we're going to go with Zay Flowers. If we go into the tight ends, this is a big tight end matchup here. T.J. Hawkinson, I think he's tight end 2 in the league right now, taking on Cincy with a backup QB versus Sam Laporta in Detroit taking on Denver. Laporta seems to have been putting up numbers no matter what, but I mean, he is kind of product with Jared Goff. I think last week he only put up like 6 points, whereas Hawkinson at least was able to get 10. So Hawkinson technically is kind of like the safer play here. So, but against Cincy, which has a kind of a mediocre defense, and I typically don't like to have to really roll with a backup QB. It's like I want to go with Hawkinson, but Laporta, I don't know. I think I kind of like Laporta better for getting points, even though it's going against my own team. Just if I'm picking. We go into the flex spot. We got Jerome Ford in Cleveland taking on Chicago versus Rashee Rice and KC taking on New England. Ooh. Chicago's actually been pretty good as of late against the run. The presence of Montez Sweat has actually been insane. I know they did lose Yannick Ngakoue last game for the season, but he wasn't like, obviously that's like another body just on that line you don't want to lose, but still, it's not like he was having like an insanely stellar season, you know. It's not like he was like, Montez Sweat has actually had an insane impact already on that defense, and he hasn't been there that long, you know. So it's like, but as the Bears have stepped up, that could bode not good for the Cleveland offense, who does technically sometimes spread the ball around when it comes to carries between obviously Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. But they also have, I think, Joe Flacco in there, who has been pretty effective at QB. So we'll see if that cuts into Jerome Ford's usage at all. On the opposite side, we have Rashee Rice, who has actually kind of stepped in as the de facto number 1 wide receiver there. Obviously, I say wide receiver because the entire offense runs through, obviously, Travis Kelce, going against a very not good New England offense. does perhaps bode well for Casey, but Casey has dropped some mysterious games in the past, so there is a little bit of some uncertainty there. But I feel like when it comes down to this, I think Rasheed Rice might actually end up with a better day. If we're moving to the defenses, we have Miami taking on the Jets versus the Bears taking on Cleveland. Ooh. Dolphins did play pretty good last week up until Will Levis. I think they even had like a defensive touchdown. Bears have been playing pretty damn good as of late. We'll be taking on Joe Flacco, who's also been playing very good as of late. Give me the Dolphins just because I don't trust the Jets. And then if we take a look at our kickers, whoops, I should have moved this. What am I doing here? We have Jake Moody in San Fran taking on Arizona versus Cairo Santos in Chicago taking on Cleveland. I actually dropped Dustin Hopkins in this one for Cairo Santos, playing purely the matchup. And if I'm playing purely the matchup, I would say that Cairo Santos is going to have the better day fantasy-wise. Jake Moody, excellent kicker. But he's on that San Fran team going against Arizona, and I think that offense is just going to be too damn good. I think they're just going to run all over. They're pretty much just going to, in my opinion, going to run all over Arizona. So that's not going to leave too many 3-point opportunities for Jake Moody. Whereas I totally see the possibility of Justin Fields and that Bear offense somehow getting slowed down or not being able to convert, but while within field goal range. And Cairo Santos has actually been playing very good as of late. So shit, I'm gonna roll the dice. But I think the potential is higher for Cairo Santos to have the better day. All right. Moving into our second matchup and game of the week, in my opinion, which is Peanut Oil taking on Team Nuge. All right. Starting off with the QBs, we have Josh Allen in Buffalo taking on Dallas, or Sam Howell in Washington taking on the Rams. I gotta go with Josh Allen. He's been looking good. I know as of late. I know he throws a lot of interceptions. They're going against a nasty Dallas defense that has been getting a lot of picks. But Josh Allen, I think, is gonna have the better day. Sam Howell, I'm sorry. Kind of just stuck on that Washington team. The Rams have also been playing good as of late. So I think just Josh Allen's going to be able to produce a little bit better. We move into the running backs. We have Alvin Kamara and New Orleans taking on the Giants. Versus Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit taking on Denver. I say... you know what? Damn. Kamara did have a good game last week. Jahmyr Gibbs also had a pretty good week. I'm gonna take a stab and say Alvin Kamara because just purely based off of the Giants defense being kind of mediocre. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think I'm just super skeptical of Detroit right now as they are playing so weird, while Denver is actually playing pretty consistent. If we move into the next set of running backs, we have Brian Robinson Jr. in Washington taking on the Rams versus Raheem Mostert in Miami taking on the Jets. Jets are pretty stout defense. Rams also pretty stout defense, but because of the offense he's on, I think I'd have to go with Raheem. If we go into the wide receivers, we have Deebo Samuel in San Fran taking on Arizona versus Jalen Waddle in Miami taking on the Jets. I'd have to go with Deebo on this one. I know he's probably not going to have a repeat performance of that 30-point performance last week, because typically that offense runs through McCaffrey, and in the passing game, typically Ayuk. But Deebo, there are just so many mouths to feed on that offense, but going against Arizona, I think there's a chance for them to actually be scoring and score often. So I think that does actually kind of leave a bit more room for potential failure for Deebo. Now if we move into the next set of wide receivers, we have Cooper Kupp and the Rams taking out Washington. taking on Mike Evans, and Tampa versus Green Bay. Probably would have to go Cooper Kupp. Rams and Stafford have been looking pretty damn good. Cooper Kupp, obviously one of the best wide receivers in the league, going against Washington, which is kind of a bit more mediocre. Green Bay, we have our moments where we look good, but you could also see Mike Evans actually drop a touchdown or two on us, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I just think Cooper Kupp is probably the safer bet to have a better game. Moving the tight ends, we have Isaiah Likely in Baltimore taking on Jacksonville versus Evan Engram. Jacksonville taking on Baltimore, so two tight ends taking on each other. Isaiah Likely's been filling in very nicely after Mark Andrews went down. Evan Engram coming off an insane game last week. Give me Evan Engram in this one. I like him. I've always been an Evan Engram fan. I think I like his continued use in that Jacksonville offense, and I think it'll be a good test for him in there in Baltimore. Moving to the flexes, we have Marquise Brown in Arizona taking on San Fran versus Puka Nacua and the Rams taking on Washington. Definitely got to go with Puka Nacua. You have to start both of these guys, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Just both of them I've been feasting with a healthy Stafford. Nacua, yeah, I said they're taking on the Commanders at that too. Like I just mentioned before, have also kind of been mediocre. So let's move into the defenses. So we have the Browns taking on Cleveland, the Browns taking on Cleveland, right? We have Cleveland taking on Chicago versus the Falcons taking on Carolina. I would have to go with the Falcons taking on Carolina to have a bit more of a high score. I know the Browns are one of the best defenses in the league, which is still a weird sentence to say, but Chicago's been on the rise. I expect them to put up a decent fight. I could also be completely wrong and they just get mollywopped, but we'll see. Then finally, if we get into the kickers, we have Young Wei Koo in Atlanta taking on Carolina versus Cameron Dicker, who only got 3 points tonight, and the absolute thrashing by the Raiders. Alright, into our third matchup. One second. Okie dokie. Now starting off again with our next matchup, which is Kelsey Me Softly taking on CD's Nuts. Alright. Starting off with our QBs, we have Russ Wilson in Denver taking on Detroit versus Jalen Hurts and Philly taking on Seattle. I like Jalen Hurts in this one. They're just mostly because of that offense he's on. They're killing it. Whenever they do the brotherly shove, especially at the goal line, always ends up obviously for more points for him. He's a dual threat quarterback, obviously with his legs. He has insane arm too and insane arm accuracy. Going against Seattle, who's been kind of more middle of the pack this year. Same could be said for Detroit. But Detroit had been playing lights out football at the beginning of the season, but as of late they kind of fell off. So this could be a bit more of a juicy matchup for Russ, who's been playing much more better this season. But only time will tell. Well, yeah, because there's Saturday games, which is weird. If we move into the running backs, we have Bijan Robinson in Atlanta taking on Carolina versus Rachaad White in Tampa taking on Green Bay. I think Rachaad White's going to have a day. Green Bay cannot stop the run. We've had multiple over 100-yard runners. Last week, I think we had over 200 total yards rushing on us. So Rachaad White full on, I think, is going to have a day. We go into the running backs. We have Kenneth Walker in Seattle taking on Philly versus Chuba Hubbard and Carolina taking on Atlanta. I think Chuba Hubbard might have the better day here. Atlanta a bit more middle of the pack, while Philly's pretty damn stout against the run. As we can see, Devontae Adams already had 8 receptions for 100 yards and a tud in that 63-21 win over the Chargers tonight. While Calvin Ridley plays against Baltimore, so that's going to be interesting. Calvin Ridley, I know he's the number one there in Jacksonville. But Baltimore, pretty damn good defense this year. If we move into the next set of wide receivers, we have Brandon Ayuk and San Fran taking on Arizona versus CD Lamb. Dallas taking on Buffalo. CD Lamb has been absolutely cooking as of late. Oh, he's been cooking all season. Ayuk also having a fantastic season. The matchup is very juicy with Arizona. But I think CD Lamb's going to have the better day regardless, just because it's CD. It's hard to bet against him right now. If we go into the tight ends, we have Travis Kelce and KC taking on New England versus Jake Ferguson and Dallas taking on Buffalo. Got to go with Kelce on this one, just purely based on the matchup, and New England is terrible right now. Now, if we go into the flex spot, we got Adam Thielen in Carolina taking on Atlanta versus Michael Pittman Jr. in Indy versus Pittsburgh. Thielen has been having a pretty good season, all things considered, there in Carolina. With Bryce Young throwing to him, Michael Pittman Jr. has been coming on late, with Gardner Minshew actually showing up. So, I think, but I still kind of think, I'm still kind of thinking that Thielen might have the better day. But actually, I'm going to roll the dice and go with Michael Pittman Jr. in this one. Yo, what's good in your Zach Attack? Good to see you, my guy. Appreciate you as always. Much love. Thanks for stopping on by. Moving on into the defenses, we got the Chiefs taking on New England versus the Cowboys taking on Buffalo. Ooh. This could be a bloodbath, but give me the Cowboys. You can't really pick against them to not produce. Even against Buffalo, I bet Bland gets a pick six. Imagine. If we go into the kickers, doing good. Just want to say hi before bed. Hey, appreciate that, my dude. You're a legend, my guy. Appreciate you stopping in, saying hi and whatnot. Hope you're doing well and, having some fun. Always appreciate the vibes. But hey, man, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night and get some great sleep for your killer day tomorrow, dude. Then back to, if we do the kickers, we got, let's see, Riley Patterson in Detroit taking on Denver versus Justin Tucker in Baltimore taking on Jacksonville. I like Riley Patterson taking on Denver, actually. Just in case Goff does stall out, I think Patterson might be able to bail him out a little bit, but we'll see. Still can't believe EA replied to my goal. Yeah, dude, it's absolutely insane. Hell yeah, dude. Love to see it. In our next matchup, we got Bob's Burgers taking on Pool of Dumpster Water, who has a lot of, some players out, some players questionable. Oof. Anyways, starting off with the QBs, we have Jared Goff, Detroit taking on Denver versus Derek Carr and New Orleans taking on the Giants. Ooh. If Jared Goff was actually going to be playing pretty damn good, you would be able to easily say, oh, without a doubt. But Derek Carr also not playing that great. Giants defense shut down Jordan Love. Also, Jordan Love played like complete shit, but that's neither here nor there. Happy affiliate anniversary. Hey, thank you, Freddie. Oop, shit, I just hit the mic. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Yes, sir, affiliate anniversary. Once again, it's that time. But thank you nonetheless. Thank you. Appreciate it. Without you guys, without you fantastic folks, none of this would ever be possible in the first place. So thank you guys for, making this happen. But anyways, for this QB matchup, I don't know. I don't really like either, but give me Jared Goff because Derek Carr's kind of too unreliable at the moment. If we move into the running backs, we got Derrick Henry in Tennessee taking on Houston versus McCaffrey in San Fran taking on Arizona. Oh, McCaffrey without a doubt. That matchup is just too juicy. For the running backs, we got DeAndre Swift in Philly taking on Seattle versus Madison, who's already out, so this one goes to Swift. Alrighty. Moving into the wide receiver ones, we have DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee taking on Houston versus Chris Olave. Houston taking on the Giants. I like Olave. He is injured. I kind of don't think that Will Levis is gonna produce the same as he did last week. But shit, hey, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm gonna go with Olave having the better day against Giants. We go into the wide receivers. We have Rondale Moore in Arizona taking on San Fran versus Zay Jones in Jacksonville taking on Baltimore. Might have to just go Zay Jones, just purely based on the team he's on. They are going against Baltimore, which is going to be a bit of a problem, but I think Zay might have the better day. Moving into the tight ends, we got Pat Freiermuth with Pitt taking on Indy versus Tyler Conklin and the Jets taking on Miami. Both going to be kind of a low-scoring effort for these two. I might go with Freiermuth on this one. If you go into the flex spot, we got Garrett Wilson and the Jets taking on Miami versus Tyler Lockett and Seattle taking on Philly. Garrett Wilson's been kind of producing no matter what. Tyler Lockett up and down. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson, even though they are taking on Miami, so they could 100% get blown out, but we'll see. Defenses, we got Detroit taking on Denver versus the Vikings taking on Cincy. Cincy's got Jake Browning. Jake Browning did have himself a day last week. But the Lions get Russell Wilson, who's actually playing pretty good. Give me the Lions against Denver. Then in the kickers, we got Matt Gay and Indy taking on Pitt versus Will Lutz and Denver taking on Detroit. I think, and it's at Detroit too, so it's going to be in a dome. I think there's going to be more potential for Will Lutz to have the better day than Matt Gay, even though Matt Gay is one of the best kickers in the league. I think in this game, I think Will Lutz is going to have a better day. Then in our last matchup, because Desert Swarm and the Addams Family are on a bye week, it is the start of what is pretty much the battle of the toilet bowl. It is the Better on Paper and Young Guns. So first up, we got our QBs. Lamar Jackson and Baltimore taking on Jacksonville versus Patrick Mahomes and KC taking on New England. Oh, that juicy matchup. We've got to go with Patty Mahomes. Then if we go into the running backs, we got Joe Mixon and Cincy taking on Minnesota versus Kyron Williams and the Rams taking on Washington. Give me Joe Mixon. He's been looking pretty good as Cincinnati. I don't think everyone was expecting them to look pretty decent under with their backup QB, but they're rocking and rolling a little bit. If we move into RB2, we got Gus Edwards and Baltimore taking on Jacksonville versus Zach Moss and Indy taking on Pittsburgh. Gus Edwards has also been kind of splitting carries a little bit with I forget the running back. I think it's like Kylan Mitchell. I guess give me Gus Edwards in this one. Moving into the wide receivers, we got Gabe Davis in Buffalo taking on Dallas versus T. Higgins and Cincy taking on Minnesota. I'm gonna go with T. Higgins. If we go into the wide receivers, we got Michael Gallup in Dallas taking on Buffalo versus DK Metcalf and Seattle taking on Philly. I probably have to say Metcalf just because he is a number 1 wide receiver coming off a good game. Philly, it's going to be a hard game, but DK, he's one damn good wide receiver, so we should be able to do it. Moving to the tight ends, we got Cole Kmet in Chicago taking on Cleveland versus Chigozium Oronkuo. Tennessee taking on Houston. Give me Cole Kmet. Can't stop yawning. Save my life right now. If we go into the flex spot, we got OBJ in Baltimore taking on Jacksonville versus James Cook and Buffalo taking on Dallas. I'll take James Cook just because he's been having a phenomenal season. I know Dallas is going to be very, very stout. Going to be hard to run against, but I think James Cook might be able to just have the better day than OBJ will. We go into the defenses. We got the Niners taking on Arizona versus Saints taking on the Giants. Niners taking on Arizona for sure. Then we have Tyler Bass and Jake Elliott. Tyler Bass in Buffalo taking on Dallas versus Jake Elliott and Philly taking on Seattle. Tyler Bass, I think there's more of a chance for Josh Allen and then Buffalo team to stall out and then Tyler Bass to kick some field goals. And that's it. That's it, I think, for round 1 because Desert Swarm and the Addams family both have first round buys. So that brings us to our last section. Which we are going to just kind of take our picks for the remaining games. Because we got games, obviously Thursday, nothing on Friday, but then we have games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All right. Grab that. All right. Plop this into good old Paint. Open. Well, all right. And we cut out the first match, right? Because that already happened, and we don't give a shit. Okay, so the first one we got. Let me grab this and ye old brush. Sorry, brush. Vikings, Bengals. Bengals, I think, are on a bit of a more hot streak. Their Vikings have regulated Josh Dobbs to 3rd string QB. Steelers, Colts, Trubisky versus Minshew. Give me Minshew, baby. Broncos, Lions. In Detroit. Gee, I wonder who won between LA and LV. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery. I want to say the Lions because they're also playing at home, but they've been playing so sketch. Broncos been playing pretty good as of late. Give me the Lions to right the ship at home. Broncos been on fire. the Chiefs losing to Green Bay was actually shocking. And kind of fluky. If they somehow lose to the Patriots, that's big problems. We're moving down to this Cowboys and Bills game, playing in Buffalo. If we don't get any offsides, I mean, hey, as long as can Tony stay on the right side of the ball? I'm gonna go with my original thought. Cowboys. Jags, Ravens. Playing in Jacksonville. I'm gonna make this circle a bit better. Give me the Ravens. Receiver's been dookie this year, apart from Rice. You're not wrong. And then Eagles, Seahawks. All right. Those are the picks. I think these are what we're going with. Last week we did absolutely terrible, so hopefully we can change it up and do a little bit better this time around. But all right, let's save this bad boy. What is this, week 15? Yeah, week 15. File, save as PNG, desktop. Week 15 picks. All right. Of course. Well, my friends, that is gonna do it for me. Just wanted to hop on, get that kind of recorded. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I'll. I'm probably gonna play games for a bit, but then not be staying on too late. Not really sure. Yeah, thanks for stopping in and vibing for a little bit while we talk some fantasy football, and covered a lot of kind of the action as we get towards the end of the fantasy football season. We just finished the regular season, so that means we covered all of the action that kind of happened in the last week. Then we took a deep dive into all those matches, into how those broke down, because we did have some more upsets. We took a look at the updated power rankings for the final time. Then we took a look at next week's matchups with the first round of playoffs starting. And then finally, like always, to kind of wrap things up, I took my picks at the final NFL games. This game, we started this on Thursday, so we excluded the Thursday night game that was already happened, kind of picked for the rest. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching and tuning into this video. I hope you guys kind of been enjoying our series of Fantasy House Live here and kind of enjoying these recaps. If you have been, please feel free to, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and always share out the video, because, it always helps build this community around. Same thing here on the good old Twitch side of things. Feel free to follow. You can also hit the bell to get notified when we go live, whenever that is. But yeah, that's going to do it for me, and I shall catch you wonderful folks next time. Yeah, as always, peace out, stay safe, much love, and I will see you next time. Bye.